Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Boroff. I'm the Mental Health Program Manager for Crossover Health. I'm really excited to introduce you to the Mental Health Essentials section of Be Well. When we set out to create this content, we're really thinking about, hey, what are the most important things people need to know to maintain good mental health? Spend so much time talking about taking care of our bodies and the things that we can do that well, really important. But what do we need to do to take care of our minds, our feelings, and hopefully prevent the occurrence of mental health distress? So that's the content that you're going to see here in this section. We're going to start out by talking about values. And this is something that a lot of us don't spend a lot of time thinking about or reflecting upon anymore. And it's actually really important. One of the best things you can do for your mental health is know what's really important to you and make sure that your behaviors are lined up with that. So the content there is going to help you do that exploration. Right after that, and I think closely connected, there's some fantastic content on journaling. One of the ways you might reflect on your values and think about what's really important to you is through a journaling practice. It's also just really important for self-reflection, checking in with ourselves. Really, really important to be able to do this. And so there's some content here for that. From there, we're going to move into positive psychology, and also gets referred to as the science of happiness. What do we know from people who report higher levels of happiness? What's common amongst them? What are the practices? What can we learn from that to improve our own mental health and well-being? There's also a little bit of neuroscience thrown in there. What do we know right now about the brain and how we can help the brain stay healthy and feeling happy? From there, we're going to move into communication. And this is a really, really important area. Our relationships, both personal and professional, can have such a huge impact on our mental health, for the good, for the bad. And we actually don't get a lot of education about how to be good communicators. Some of us do it naturally, but a lot of us actually need that help and support. And so we have some content here for that. There's also a little bit of content there around boundary setting, which is also really, really important to maintaining our mental health. Closely connected, we're going to talk about sex. And this is something else that we have a really hard time talking about. There's shame around it. There's nervousness, fear of judgment. So many things get in the way of people talking about sex, but it's actually really important for our physical and our mental health. People who report higher levels of sexual satisfaction are less likely to report feeling depressed, feeling anxious. It serves such an important role in our mental health. And so we're going to start the conversation about sex. And that'll probably be an area that we develop more as time goes by, because there's just so much that people need to know. So those are the core areas that we're going to focus on for mental health essentials. Below that, if you do feel like you need therapy, if your mental health is in a place where you're feeling, okay, I need help, I've never done it before, there's some information about what happens in therapy, who the different kind of license types are, kind of demystifying what happens in therapy so that you have a good understanding of it coming in. Additionally, we're going to start breaking down myths about mental health, and there's so many of them. And so we've started with 5 myths that we want to tackle and kind of present the truth to people. And the reason this is so important is that there still is stigma around getting mental health treatment. The misconceptions people have about mental health can get in the way of them accessing the care that they really need. And we don't ever want that to be the case. So really, really important to start tearing down those myths so that people know what's happening. In addition to the content that you're seeing here, I do want to point you to our stress management and resiliency area and our loneliness area. Loneliness, when we're lonely, we're more likely to develop things like depression, and anxiety can really negatively affect our mental health. And so the content there can be really, really helpful if you are feeling that way. And then in the stress management and resiliency section, there's a lot of great content. Managing stress is important for maintaining good mental health. And in particular, the mindfulness areas of that are really, really important. We live in the least mindful society in the history of humanity right now, and it actually is very stressful. So I would encourage you also to hop over to stress management and resiliency and take a look at that content. Hope you find this information helpful, that it's enriching for you, and that it's useful in you maintaining good mental health moving forward. Thank you, and appreciate you taking a look.